Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Healing Body, Mind, and Soul with Aeriol. I'm Aeriol Asher, your host, and today I have the opportunity and pleasure to be here with my dear friend, Cynthia. Now, Cynthia and I have known each other for a while. We are just, besties at first sight. I love her energy. And she's up to so much. What I love is she really empowers people to get to know their own power. And I definitely think that that is part of healing body, mind, and soul. What I also love about her was that she was an insta yes when I asked her to be on the podcast. And you know how much I love that because she just brings me joy and connection and love. I love her, love her, love her. So I'll stop gushing and hand it over to Cynthia. How are you?
Hi, Aeriol. I am doing just great, and I am so happy to be here with you today.
Awesome. It's such a pleasure to have you. Now, I can't wait for you to tell our guests a little bit about yourself and the business that you're in and about your coaching and all the things that you're up to, because I love this angle that you have.
Okay, well, my full name is Cynthia Jolicoeur, and I teach women how to be safe in the world no matter what. And I do that through virtual experiences and workshops, and also through live events that bring the hands-on physical piece in. And what I love about it is, as you mentioned, it's really about empowering women. And what I do is very different from what gets brought into the world as, quote, self-defense. Typical programs are things where you're learning techniques and you're learning choreographed movements. So it's like, if this happens, then you should do that. And I honestly spent 20 plus years doing that as a martial artist. I hold a 4th degree black belt in mixed martial arts. And that's not what I teach, because I realized along the way that that's not what happens in the real world. That's not what is useful. And so I worked with a coach who developed an entire system that's based on how the human body is already created to move and to respond, and how the human brain works. So I start with the mental, emotional, and psychological aspects of personal safety, and then bring in the physical elements. And the physical elements are all, as I mentioned, like what the body's designed to do. So you'll relate to this, I think. As human beings, we're wired a particular way. We come to the planet with certain abilities and gifts hardwired in. And one of those things is how we respond to sudden stimuli. And we startle, flinch, and we push away danger. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's like a butterfly flying towards your face, or a baseball flying towards your face, or somebody grabbing you in a parking lot. We all are designed to flinch and push away danger. And so what I do is I show you how trustworthy that is, because it's not something that we actually think about. We don't think, oh, I'm going to flinch now and push this thing away. It's how our brain works and our physiology works. So what I do is I show you how you can do that, because you're going to, and then do something that will improve your situation. And that's where you start to learn what the human body is capable of in terms of defending itself, because we're designed to be able to be safe. We just have been very domesticated in the last 1,000 years or so. And we've forgotten how we can actually use our own bodies to protect ourselves. So I work with the women to explore like what we can do with our hands, what we can do with our elbows, our forearms, our knees, our feet. Pretty much every body part is something that you can use. And beyond that, then we move into what are some improvised weapons that you might be able to use in your environment. So maybe you're in the kitchen and you're accosted in a kitchen. Maybe there's a pot of hot coffee right there you can grab. Or maybe you're in a restaurant when something happens and there's knives and forks on the table. So we talk about improvised weapons. And then we talk about self-defense tools. So I don't know if you carry any, but a lot of women nowadays carry little self-defense tools in their pockets or their purses. So things like pepper spray or the little kitty cat ear things that you put over your fingers. Some even carry firearms. And experience shows us that those kinds of things can create a false sense of security because you think you're going to be able to get to them in the moment. But if you've encountered a danger or a threat and you're scared and you're startled, you can't get to those things. What you can get to is what your body can do. So you can get to those tools after you get through the initial few seconds, and they're great tools to have. You just can't count on them being available like in the instant unless you actually walk around with them like taped to your hand and ready to go. And I don't think, I mean, right. I don't sleep with something in my hand. So that's the kind of thing that we do. We talk about all the mental, emotional, psychological part, and then we talk about your tools and how you can really use them.
More than the tools, I'm interested, Cynthia, in what goes on in somebody's brain. Because you know what we're doing, and a lot of the healers that I'm working with, we're all working with that theta state, that alpha state, and activating the parasympathetic nervous system so that the body can be in an aware state. Where does your work fit in with all of that?
It fits right in because I think I mentioned that it is brain-based.
Yes.
It is brain-based. And where we start with is, for example, fear. Fear is something that people don't understand and are often scared of. But fear is a very primitive, natural response to danger. And it comes in two flavors. One is physiological, and that's where we get the adrenaline and we get the rise in temperature and the narrowing vision and that kind of thing. But it's also in the brain. Our primal brain, or you could call it the reptilian brain, is the thing that is responsible for survival. It's why we're still here on the planet as a species. And that's the thing that jumps in and takes over right away. That's why we can't get to those complex motor skill things like the martial arts or like our pepper spray and that type of thing, is because those all live in the cognitive brain.
Correct.
And our reptilian, limbic system is faster than that, and its whole job is to keep us safe. So we can't really override that. We can learn how to use it. And the cool thing is we all have it. So it's not something that you have to develop or train. It's there.
Most of the clients that I see have that
activated. Part of what is exciting is
have that activated too much, right? And we need to shut it off because they've been in a state of overstress or overstimulation, and they're constantly in that state of fight or flight. And it's absolutely useful, right? Well, what you're saying is it keeps us alive and has kept our whole species alive. But when somebody is in that state and they're not in danger anymore, the wreckage that it can cause on their psyche and physical body, and then they're not able to defend themselves even by being in that state, right? Because they've used their last drop of adrenaline or, their very last drop.
Right. Well, we're not designed to spend our days in that hyper-aware state. It's not meant to be engaged 24/7. It's meant for emergencies. And that's where, if you can learn through scenario-based training, like what you're capable of, and you develop some real confidence in your ability to do the things that you need to do to get to safety, then you can let go of carrying along like this constant underlying thread of anxiety and fear about, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if, I encounter somebody, or you know, all that realm of what ifs is what keeps us in that basically scared state all the time. So having an opportunity to really look at possible scenarios and real ones too. I mean, that's the thing is getting to work with women who have already experienced situations and going through their scenarios has been super healing, because they get to rewire their brain. You know, it's like the last time I was in this situation, I got choked, or I got, you know, thrown against a wall, or I got raped. And then to be able to go through a similar scenario in a safe environment where you get to come up with other options that result in you being safe is a tremendously healing thing. I mean, your brain just goes, oh, now I've got new patterns that I can use. I don't have to keep being stuck in that one pattern that I already experienced. So it is really powerful. And I mean, my goal in doing this work is to free women from living in a state of fear, so that they can go and do whatever they want and be with whoever they want to be and go where they want to go, and not be constantly wondering, you know, am I going to be safe? Is it going to be okay? You know, do I need to do this, or what do I need to do, or what if, you know, all that stuff. That's why I do this, is because it's so freeing once you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are prepared and you are equipped and you are capable.
I got to tell you, I did one of your Unleash Your Inner Amazon Badass classes. I can't remember the title of the one that I did, but it was really fun. It was really freeing and fun and interesting. You know, I'm tall and I'm a large woman, you know, but that doesn't make me automatically a badass, right? I actually proved to myself that I was, but I'm just saying. But I really had fun. I really had fun in the scenarios and everything. I could see how this work would be so cathartic for women. Do you find that women who, like you said, who have been through some sort of violent situation or been, what is their cathartic experience after being in some of your workshops?
Well, I just start by saying, yes, I do remember when you came to the Unleash Your Inner Amazon course, and that was a ton of fun. And yeah, I think you had a whale of a time doing the scenarios, and that's what everybody always loves the most. You know, that's the comment is, I want to do more scenarios, because that is where you get that breakthrough of, oh my gosh, I can do this.
Well,
so
yeah,
I remember watching you kick my bad guy's butt.
Partner had the whole bad guy suit on, and we got to like actually just wail on him, and he's the nicest dude, but he's all, okay, beat me up, you know? I mean, he was suited up in the bad guy suit.
Yeah, yeah, and he gave you some really good bad guy energy, you know, and that's what allowed you to really respond in the way that you did. That's the whole fun of it. Yeah. And, you know, you asked about like women who have been through experiences like that and what kind of catharsis it is for them. Sometimes in the moment, it triggers a lot and is a lot to process, like right there. And it's, you know, a week or so later that everything kind of settles down and falls into place. And then I hear the feedback of, my gosh, I'm so glad that I did that. You know, I didn't realize how stuck I was and how scared I was of being in another situation where I got hurt, or where I, you know, was vulnerable and powerless. The other things that I've heard from women who have come through one of the courses and had the experiences that you did, you know, of learning about the mental, psychological, emotional part, learning about what predators want and don't want, learning about will and indignation and how powerful those things are, you know, that are inside all of us that we can tap into. And then having that experience of doing the actual hands-on piece. The other major thing that I hear from women, really not just the ones who've already experienced violence, but everybody, because I've had a lot of women who have never in a million years thought about having to defend themselves. But they all walk out going, I feel like such a badass now. Like, I didn't believe that I could do it. And now I know, like, no matter what happens, I can take care of myself. I know I'm not going to freeze. And that's a huge fear. You know, whether people have encountered danger before or not, that fear of freezing and not taking action and not knowing what to do and just sort of letting bad things happen to you is a paralyzing fear. It can be. And so to get that breakthrough in a self-defense class actually has, you know, a follow-on effect, which is it affects the rest of your life too, other areas of your life where you're afraid of situations, you know, whether it's in business or a personal relationship or, you know, a life situation or change. Going through it in a self-defense scenario actually unlocks the ability to get through situations in other parts of your life.
Yeah, I really love the way that although the class was physical, what I love is that it raised the awareness and put you in the state that you can even go beyond the freezing, right? To be in that aware state of improvising. Oh, there's my elbow. Oh, there's my, there's my hand, or there's that coffee pot, whatever. I don't know when that came into our conversation. I think you mentioned the coffee pot. Well, why is the coffee pot in my consciousness? Yeah. But there is that coffee pot. Cynthia, your work is just so awesome. I can't endorse enough. People should really just get on board with the whole system. And you do work virtually, which is so awesome. If you can't go and beat up Cynthia's boyfriend, you can get her online. How's Dave doing? I hope he's okay. I hope that everybody is not beating him up too much. I think he enjoys it in a weird that he gets to role play. Anyway, because he's such a nice guy. He's not a bad guy at all. Can you tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Yes, the easiest thing to do is to go onto my website, which is cynthiajolicoeur.com. So it's CYNTHIAJOLICOEUR.com. And on that website, there's all kinds of information about me and about the system and ways to work with me, all the different programs. There's a couple of evergreen webinars up there that you can do anytime. One of them's the Best Kept Secrets of Self-Defense. Actually, I think it's Best Kept Secrets of Personal Safety now. And then the other one is on finding your way through fear. And there's also information about my virtual program, which is an online program that combines calls I would say like this, except we're only doing audio, but Zoom calls and a Facebook group for several weeks to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological aspects of personal safety. And there's also a link to my retreats. So I do a 3-day live event where we spend day 1 on that mental, emotional, psychological aspect, and days 2 and 3 are all hands-on physical, learning about your body, what you can do with it, and then putting it to work, putting yourself to work in different scenarios. So that's the best way to find out all that information. And, it's being updated pretty regularly because, I don't just do it once a year. I have things going on a rolling basis. So you can just check in there and see what's coming up.
Cynthia, do you work
I'll
with
just
women?
tell you also, I have more than one bad guy now. Dave was my only role player back when you did the course. And I have actually a little stable of bad guys now who are great role players who are just like Dave. They love to be a part of the empowerment of women, and they get really sort of turned on by seeing the change, especially since they see the women face to face and they see the change in the eyes during scenarios, which I never get to see because I'm usually on the side coaching. They just get so lit up by seeing woman after woman, no matter what her age, her size, her athletic background, her cultural background, her life experience, they see the transformation from, how she came in to how she is in the scenario and after. And it just lights them up because they see the breakthroughs and they see that huge increase in power and confidence. So I'm really lucky to have, several men who are great at doing that and great at partnering and helping women to have these breakthroughs. So you only get to meet them at the live events, though, not on my virtual programs.
Awesome. Cynthia, the work you do is so important to women. I just would love it. Can you please give your website one more time?
Okay, it's my name. So it's CynthiaJolicoeur.com. You want me to spell it again?
No, that's okay. They got the spelling. They got the spelling earlier, and it is in the notes in the podcast.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you so much
Excellent.
for joining me. And listeners, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And don't hesitate to call upon Cynthia and all of her infinite wisdom. I really, really endorse all of her classes and workshops. And without further ado, this is Aeriol Asher, and until next time, happy healing.